Hi everybody and welcome to Unwind Design. Today we're going to be doing a really cute snowman painting and I hope you guys like it as much as I do. So let's go over our items. First off, we are going to be going over our colors. We have our red, blue, yellow, black, white, and our cup of water with our napkin, our canvas, and our brushes. First off, we have our background brush. Next, we have our square brush. Next, we have our detail brush. And finally, we have our round tip brush, which is the brush we're going to be starting off with. So let's go ahead and start off our painting by picking up a little bit of water. And we're going to be mixing it into the center to create the shape. So water helps spread our paint, helps the paint go a lot smoother. So I'm going to bring my brush and squeeze some of that water out of my brush, creating a little puddle in the corner with that yellow. So I'm gonna mix until it gets nice and smooth. After that, we are going to start applying it on our canvas. Starting on top, on the top right corner, we're gonna start going down just a little bit from the right to the left, about 2 fingers worth of space. We are going to start this off. We are going to start by making almost like a little corner or triangle to make the top of the design. Our snowman's going to be wearing a beanie. So this is going to be the top of the beanie. Next, we're going to make a rectangle underneath. And again, make sure your paint is nice and soft and smooth so we can make that rectangle. Next, we're going to come in and draw in the head. Make sure that your brush is nice and soft, or your brush is going to get stuck and you're going to find yourself going over it multiple times. The water helps the paint be smooth. So I'm going to grab a little bit more paint, and now I'm going to work on the bottom section. On the top, I made a little circle. On the bottom, I'm making a larger circle. Next, we're going to come in and pick up just a little bit more of this yellow, and we are going to come in and create the carrot nose right in the center, going out towards our left corner. We're using a little bit of that yellow to form a rounded center attached to the head and a pointy section all the way out to the end. Next, we're going to grab a little tiny drop of red, and we're going to mix the orange on our canvas. We're going to come in and add some of that red to our carrot nose and very slowly pull our brush to create that very smooth effect. Don't go too fast, go nice and slow to create a nice smooth effect. Next, we're going to start to pick up some more of that color, and we're going to start to fill in our cap. We're going to go nice and slow over our orange. Make sure it's a smooth blending. We're going to get just a little bit more red to create a shadow. And I'm going to blend this red from the right to the left, going very slowly or very light pressure from the right to the left to create a really pretty nice transition. And if you notice, now you can see the dark blending to the left with the yellow, making a very beautiful transition of red to orange. Next, I'm also going to add a little bit of white. That's going to turn it more into a pinkish peach color, which is what I'm looking for. I don't want my snowman to wear an orange hat. I want the hat to be a little bit more on the peach end. Next, I'm picking up some red and filling in the top of my beanie, or just the edge of it, just so that I can separate the top from the section that's going around your head. Next, picking up some of that white, I'm going to add some on there as well, just to turn it a little bit more of a peach and pink color. You can add more highlights if you want it a little bit lighter. And just make sure you blend that in and get all those edges as you're going along. And I'm going to curve it towards my right so that it looks like it's actually sitting on the head. From here, we are going to be washing off our brush, and we're going to start working on these little eyes. I'm going to use the round tip and pick up a tiny little bit of black, and I'm going to start coming in and forming the eye. Starting off with the left eye, I'm going to pick up my round tip brush and make a tiny little circle. Towards the right, I'm going to make a slightly bigger circle. We're doing this because the eye that's farthest is a little bit smaller because it's farthest, and the one that's closest is bigger. We're going to do the same thing with the smile. We're going to do a tiny little dot, and as we go towards the right, our dots are going to get bigger and bigger so that they look like they're closer to us. It's super cool. A really, really good effect. I love this. From here, we're also going to move on to the buttons. So I'm going to get a little bit of this black, and I'm going to go and form a larger circle on the belly. You can make as many buttons as you want. I'm going to use 2 buttons on my snowman. And we're just forming this circle, going over it nice and smooth. If your paint is too sticky, add a little bit more water, but be careful because if it has too much water, it's going to spill everywhere, and then your paint is also going to look see-through. And we don't want that. We want it to be nice and creamy. So go in and make sure that your circles look like circles. They don't have to be perfect. Remember, perfect doesn't exist. Next, we are going to be switching to our square brush. And our square brush, we are going to be making the scarf. We're going to pick up a little bit of red and blue to combine and make a purple. The more blue you add, the darker your purple is going to be. The more red you add, the more red-violet your purple is going to be. So you decide what works out for you. I'm going to pick up a little bit more water, pick up more paint, and starting at the edge of the neck, I'm just going to pull my brush from the beginning of the neck to the outside right corner of my canvas. Go over that a few times. Like me, if you have a little bit of a puddle of paint, go over it multiple times to make sure that it's nice and smooth and that the water is spread out. We don't really want puddles. Next, I'm going to get a little bit of white, and we're going to make the section that's coming out in the front a little bit lighter. And I'm not pressing that hard. See how my little hairs of my brush are creating that texture at the end? So again, curve it a little bit so it looks like it's coming out of your scarf, and then just lightly press. Next, for the back one, I want it to be a little bit darker, like I have a shadow. So I added more blue, and I'm pulling down. The one that's in the front is a little bit lighter because it's towards the front. The one that's towards the back is a little bit darker. And you can use the side of your brush to create the little edges or the little pieces of the scarf that are coming out. All right, guys, next we're going to be using our square brush. We're going to pick up some of that water. We don't want to dry it out too much. And we're going to use this brush to pick up some blue and outline our snowman before we paint out that background. So we're just going to go around our snowman nice and slow, around the beanie. And make sure your paint is nice and smooth so it can spread better. Next, we're going to go around our nose. Make sure to pick up more blue if you happen to run out of it. I'm going to go down the nose, over my yellow, around the head. Again, if you see a little bit of a puddle, you can pick up some of that paint that's left over on there to keep using it. I'm going to pick up some more blue and now go over the belly. And again, go over your yellow. Cover it up. That yellow was only there to help you with those outlines. Once we are done with those outlines, we're going to switch our square brush out for our background brush. Again, make sure that your brush is very soft with that water so that it glides smoothly like mine. Look at how pretty that looks. It's not difficult at all. It's not sticky. It's nice and smooth. I also added a little bit of white to make that slightly lighter. And the trick to this color is to add a little bit of yellow to get that turquoise that you guys are seeing come out. If you want it darker, add more blue. If you want it lighter, add more white. If you like that turquoise color, add a little bit of yellow. And that's how you're going to get that color. And again, we're going to fill in all of that background nice and smooth with our brush. Pretend that your brush is a ballerina, and we're just going to glide it. If your paint gets stuck, make sure you pick up a little bit of water so that you can continue to push that paint around on your canvas smoothly. All right, guys, once we're done with that, I'm going to pick up my round tip brush and begin to fix up these little sections around the belly. I'm going to add just a little bit of white to go over them. I made a little bit of a spill here, so I'm just washing it off and cleaning it up with that napkin. And then with my round tip brush, like I said, I'm picking up that white, and we're going to start to add the highlights. We're also going to straighten up our outlines around the stomach and the head, in case you guys don't like how it turned out. Next, we are going to start to pick up some of that white to add it to our beanie. So I'm going to get a little bit, and I'm going to create a couple of lines to give the effect of some ripples or some highlight or some wrinkles on our beanie. So I added a couple of layers, a couple of highlights. Shimmer always helps our painting get a lot more interesting. I'm also going to add some highlights around the nose, making a line and some curves down. And finally, the shimmer on our eyes, some shimmer on our mouth, and last but not least, shimmer on our buttons. We can also come in and add some highlights to the scarf, just to give it a little bit more personality. And I went over the back of my scarf. You can also add a couple of dots and go over some of those highlights again as they start to dry. Next, we're going to be coming in with some more of that white, and we're going to start to add some colorful snowflakes in the background. Again, we're starting off with white, and we're going to go in and just create these very light circles. You decide how big you want them to be. And if your blue is still wet in the back, they should turn into a very pretty light blue. So we're going to go ahead and add a couple of these white circles all around, allowing them to mix with our baby blue, or with our blue to turn into a baby blue. And then I'll be moving into some pink circles. Like I mentioned before, we are now going to make pink circles by mixing some red into the white. And as that red mixes with that baby blue background or that blue background, your color is going to start to turn into a very pretty light pink or lavender color. And we're also going to add a few of those all the way around. Next, we're going to switch to our detail brush, and we're going to pick up some more of that white and add tiny little dots all around that background as well. Fill in all those empty spaces with some stars. They could be clustered, they could be separated, some could be a little bigger, some could be a little smaller. So we're going to go ahead and add these stars before we start to make them a little bit sparkly. Next, to make our stars a little sparkly, we're just going to make little suns going all around. Choose a dot that you like and then just lightly pull out and go all the way around, making those little suns so that they look like stars. Again, they don't have to be perfect. And you're going to choose. It doesn't have to be all of them either. It could just be a couple. A couple here, a couple there, just to make sure we add some shimmer to our painting. But not least, when you're done, pick up the color that you're the most interested in, whatever color that is. I'm choosing a little bit of this red, and I'm going to write my signature on the bottom. So please don't forget to put your name so everybody knows the artist that made this. And there you go. Thank you guys so much for painting with me, and I look forward to painting with you soon. Bye!